You're live. This is the aaronzero show with another edition of today's noise. And what do we have in the noise today? Well, plenty. Let's start with the CJP party, the Cockroach Janta Party. And apparently, the founder of the party, Mr. Abhijit Dipke, says he's not interested in making the party a political party because he feels that if he does so, then any votes they get would be deleted. So he is content to let it remain as a pressure force and a party that can keep raising up issues for the government, so to speak. And he is taking himself and his members to his hometown, and they're going to have a meeting on August 5th and then decide what the next course of action will be. So that is what the name of the game is just now for the Cockroach Party. And I'm sure there are in a lot of political parties who would want the CJP to join them because they have 22 million youth followers and probably many more once they get more organized. But they continue to voice the student demands, and apparently there was a student protest in Jharkhand, and they are with that protest too and voicing opposition to whatever problems the students have in their papers and tests and stuff like that. On that note, the National Testing Agency, which conducts the NEET paper exams, which are entrance tests for the medical degree, has now floated a tender for 7.5 crores to have a security force that will be round the clock uh, guarding their premises, examination halls, exam papers, etc., on a 24-hour basis, and will also screen the NTA employees themselves, whoever goes in or comes out to the area of the National Testing Agency. So this is one of the upshots and from the meeting with Prime Minister Modi, which the CJP had. I'm sorry, not with the Prime Minister, but with the union ministers, which they had Mr. Jitendra Singh and the other gentleman. So much is on the anvil, and because of the CJP Jantar Mantar protest, a lot of other protests are coming out. E20 protest, which is about the ethanol blended petrol, and which apparently many people don't want. They want the regular petrol, while the government wants to introduce uh, E85 and possibly E100, which will be complete petrol ethanol, and have flex cars, that is, cars that will be able to run on ethanol. But the whole problem here is that the mileage would be less, but so will the pollution. And that was something the Brazilians agreed to. Brazil has been using ethanol for last 50 years and successfully. So you might get a little less mileage, but a lot cheaper fuel. And the fuel is much, much more cheaper when produced in good quantity, etc., as opposed to petrol. So it might be a good idea for India to collaborate with Brazil in the ethanol field because they have so much experience. And the two countries can collaborate and possibly work out something new, even maybe a newer type of fuel coming out of all of that. Of course, it would be much cheaper, no going to the Strait of Hormuz and getting those barrels of crude oil amongst the bombs and missiles and drones and etc. It would be a really good deal, I think. And I'm sure a lot of other countries of the world are also thinking along the same lines. and they're tired of being held hostage. Uh, that is the funny part because Mr. Trump thinks he's winning, and the Iranians think they're winning. And the recent um, state of events is that the military strikes are on pause, while apparently the Iranians are running very hard to rustle up a deal. And actually, the problem is that they are wanting to do the same 14-point deal, which centers around the Strait of Hormuz, but also the nuclear enrichment which Iran has and which Iran is trying to sidestep. And I don't know if Mr. Trump will go for that. He's got one eye on the midterm elections also, which are around the corner in November. This is the month of August, September, October. So you have 3 months left for the midterms, and most of the American public is not for extending this Iranian war or war on Iran, so to speak. Probably the only people who are happy to extend it would be the tiny country of Israel. So that is where the matters stand. And Prime Minister Modi, in his address to the youth, has said that the youth who are taking drugs are warriors. I mean, those who are giving it up. And he says we have a real problem in the country in the Northeast and in Punjab. And they have to go on this on a war footing to embrace the youth and explain to them that drugs are not a good deal and not lose this valuable youth to drugs. Speaking of youth, we have a lot of young Indian women who are in the south joining the electronics factory line. Foxconn, the electronics maker, has got a huge factory in Devanahalli, which is outside Bengaluru, and has employed 30, 40,000 women because their fingers are nimble and they are managing to produce 400, 500 units in an hour. And they have busing for them, they have housing for them, dormitories for them. So it's one of the first times that a lot of young Indian woman power is being used in the electronics industry, and it could be a game changer. And so there are a lot of other major players in the electronic industry who would be watching and waiting and would set up factories and establishments depending on the success of Foxconn. And I do believe it is on the path of success because India is exporting more and more smartphones. That's become one of the main export goods besides the traditional goods of India. And what else we have? The Commonwealth Games are almost ending, and the Indian women have done superbly, winning 8 gold medals out of a possible 13. The Indian men have won about 13 silver medals. So a lot of the Indian women very good in boxing, etc., and they have brought glory to the country in their sports achievements. And this against countries like Australia, England, France, etc., who have a much better uh, government-aided sports industrial complex, I would say. So it is a good wake-up call for India and a door opening, so to speak, for future sports and sporting enthusiasts to see that the country rises up in the sporting world. And that is all we have for you. We hope you're doing fine and staying dry. Subscribe by the billion. Thank you.